Day 17. It's early in the morning. Well, for some, it's my typical time to be up. But today, I've been up a little bit earlier than normal. I'm a little excited, I guess. One of my best friends, he's headed this way. It'd be nice to, catch up. We always have a good time ever since we met in 1995 in Hawaii. And we're still good friends today. We laugh and joke. Everybody needs somebody like that, I just hope, I could be available. It's one of the things that, as I'm in processes like this, making myself available and being aware. But that's neither here or there, If anyone can make me laugh, it's David. But even in recognizing that, he makes me laugh, he depends on me making him laugh. And, it's been like that for years. And it's very rare that, in life you find authentic friends or you find people who genuinely care about you, and want to see you well. I don't think that there's anything hidden under the sun about my life anyway. To David, in fact, I shared a lot of things with him back in 95. Some things, about ministry and stuff was cool and other things weren't. And but nonetheless, we're still friends after all these years, and I can appreciate authentic, friendships like that. And there's nothing wrong with friends doing for friends and helping friends. But, in my life, there are times I couldn't recognize, especially when money was involved, I couldn't recognize who was really for me and who was against me. And I'm a giver, and, no one likes to be taken advantage of. But, I'm a quick study and I operate in the spirit of discernment. And even when I knew that if it was you, I always knew, but it never stopped me because it's who I am. I'm a giver. And I understand the principle of giving and sowing and reaping, but that's not why I give. I give because I love. But that's a dangerous thing too, I've learned, because some people evaluate, how much you love them based upon what you give to them or what you don't, or what you used to do. My grandfather, he used to say it's cheaper to keep her. Every time my grandmother would start fussing, nah, he'd just look and say it's cheaper to keep her. And I think in some situations like that, you have to really evaluate, right? You're going to have, the needy and the greedy. It is a leader's plight, The challenges that I face, and many of you have as well, when there are more people needing you than feeding you. See, there are always going to be the needy and the greedy, but when there are more people needing you and greeting you, let me say that, it becomes overwhelming. There's no balance. There's nothing wrong with being a giver. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do for others, even though you know that they're in it for a different reason. Look, no one can use you. They only think that they're using you. And to be honest with you, it's a blessing to be used. At least you have something and they don't. So I look at things in life, really differently, and, but it's very difficult and challenging, because you really don't know. Even family, people split, and it all comes down to, and I was sharing with a friend of mine yesterday from South Africa, and we met on the flight. He saw me reading, the 2030 plan for South Africa, and, just really trying to get connected with the country. And we started to have a very candid conversation, and we're still friends today, And I posted a little bit of that on one of my social medias. And even though I'm doing a social media detox, that just means I'm detoxing from you. Yeah, you. And we shared, and I spent time, and I really always appreciate talking to him. And that's an authentic relationship. Like, we don't talk every day. There are many people, I would say, in my life, in fact, most of my closest friends, we don't talk every day. The ones you may have to worry about is the ones that are in your face every day. But I've always been an introvert, pretty much a loner, and it's just very hard sometimes. And that's why, even where the scripture today talks about how we are to acknowledge God, right? Or we are to, in all of our ways, and He'll direct our path. And pray for the spirit of discernment, because there's going to be many people who are going to come in your life and come your way. And you have to be able to filter, people out without shunning people away. And so it's just a very difficult thing. But the one thing, can I talk about something that really aggravates me and really gets under my skin, since this is really for me just coming clean and getting my thoughts and my feelings out. There is something that bothers me. It's a pet peeve. But when you hear it, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my white flag up, and I surrender to the fact that there'll always be haters, right? There'll always be these individuals or these people who want what you want, who want to do what you want to do. And, I'm a very open person, so I love to mentor. I love to show people the way. But when they hear the plan, it's not what they expected. That's where they're helping someone with nonprofit or starting a business. And many people, even in my family, who said, I want to do this, I want to do that. And, my baby girl, she'll tell you in a heartbeat. Uncle will tell me to Google it or to look it up. Why? Because, look, you can pay people to open a business for you and start a business, but the reality is this: if they do it for you, is it really yours? You need to know everything about it, the ins and the outs. And so, I've had situations like that where people really expected me to do it for them. And when I don't, here's what bothers me. They won't say it to you. They dare not say it in my face. But, they'll start to make negative comments like, he doesn't want to help anybody. He's all about himself. So, when people don't get what they want out of you, they'll start to, doing what human beings do, right? They'll assign certain names to you. And I've been called many, so there's not many more left. And here's a key thing to note. It's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. Let me say that again, because this is going to help a lot of people. It's not what you call me, it's what I answer to. And if you're not calling me what God calls me, I probably won't answer. You'll probably go to voicemail, and guess what voicemail is going to tell you? That it's full. That's like real. That's true. I hate voicemail. But it's not what you call me. It's what I answer to. And I want to help somebody because you've been listening to the other voices and you've been worried about what people say about you and what they call you. Look, it's not what they call you. It's what you answer to, because what you answer to is what and who you are. You have to understand that. You understand that, you'll be fine all throughout life. It doesn't matter what labels they put on you, what categories they try to assign you to, how they prioritize you, what class, what race, what ethnicity, what religion. None of that matters unless it matters to you. Somebody will get that on the way home. But another one of my pet peeves, and I've heard this too, because it really doesn't line up with who I am. But you'll hear people say, "Oh, she thinks she all that," or "He thinks he's all that." Have you ever heard that before? Let me try it a different way. Have you ever said that before? I'm not talking about me, found yourself saying that about anybody else, because maybe it may be that, and maybe some people are narcissistic, maybe some people do come across that, but there's certain characteristics that go with that particular term, that or phrase. They think they're all that in a bag of chips. Well, yesterday we talked about what God calls us, and God thinks that. So why can't we? But that's not where my pet peeve is. My pet peeve is here when an individual says that someone thinks that they're all that. My automatic response is, no, boo, you think that I'm all that. And typically that is true, because it's really not about you. Think about it. If someone says to you, you think that you're all that, it's not that you think you're all that, it's that they think you're all that. In fact, they may know that you're all that, and you may very well be all that. But I would say to the individual who says that to someone, you might want to take a look at that. Why do you think that they think that they're all that? What is it that rubs you the wrong way? Is it the success that you haven't obtained? Is it the relationship that you always wanted but could never get because of you think you're all that? Let me keep the focus on me, because I can go so many different directions with that, but it's a pet peeve for so many different reasons when we know what God says about us. And yes, we are all that. But I know sometimes you may come across people who may be conceited, but what may appear to be conceit is really just the confidence, right, that God has given to them. And I think about that even in my own life, because, and I share my story quite often, even as an introvert, as a shy kid, it took years before I became, and I am still becoming, Darrin L. Harris. I was a shy kid that didn't talk to people, that held his head down. But then something happened. Something got a hold of me. You know what I'm talking about. And when that gets a hold of you, that's what you see. And that's what you're experiencing. And so here's what I believe. I believe that it's one of the most, it is the worst, number one, but one of the most disrespectful things that we could ever do is to downplay our gifts that God has blessed us with. to dim our light just because our shine hurts somebody else's eye. It's one of the most disrespectful things we can do. And I've been guilty of this. I've downplayed my gifts and my talents and my abilities because I didn't want to come across as if I'm all that. Because there's going to be those who will say he thinks he's all that. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Some people have been so bold they'll say it in my face. And, well, let's just say after we have a come to Jesus, because I do speak in both the known and unknown tongue, it doesn't happen again. And I try, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I know that there are individuals you're holding back, and you're devaluing your worth and the gifts that God has inside of you. But today is not that day. It's time for a change. That's what this is about. This is about the transformation of a mind, the renewing of a mind, which is a constant process. We must remain teachable. You can't worry about what they say. They ain't paying your bills anyway. There's a lot of different sayings that, have helped me over the years because, I consider myself to be a student of the earth. And I remain teachable, No, we don't know it all. I've heard that too. Oh, he's a know-it-all. It's impossible for any of us to know it all. Our brains can only handle so much. Oh, there you go with that smart mouth. I've been guilty of being a little catty, okay? But as I continue to think about some of these things, I'm going to talk about a couple of phrases that you probably heard before. A jack, like the jack of all trades, master of none. Know a lot about one thing and a little bit about everything else. You've heard some of these, right? I'm a student of the earth. And for me, being a student of the earth, means that I have to be willing to take the cotton out of my ears and stuff it in my mouth. Being a student of the earth means that I have to be teachable. Being a student of the earth means that I cannot have a closed mind, right? You've heard the saying, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Well, a closed mind doesn't get fed. And in order to remain teachable, we have to be humble enough to understand that we're not always right. Think about it. If we were all right, there would never be any wrong. And it doesn't mean that we have it all together. It doesn't mean we have all the answers, right? No one of us is smarter than all of us. And we may not have it all together, but I believe together we can have it all. It was Mother Teresa, and I love this saying. She said, you can do what I cannot. I can do what you cannot. Together we can do great things. It's getting close to my time. But the message in Proverbs 3 and 5 that, and I'll go ahead and add 6 because, a lot of times I just got to have it all for it to make sense. But it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will direct your paths straight. And He will. I can just pull a few things out of here. Trust in the Lord. But, we've tried everybody else, right? You've tried other things. We've tried Jenny Craig, and we've tried. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. That means everything you got, everything you are. And watch this. Lean not to your own understanding. Your own understanding. Because see, a lot of times our understanding is cloudy, especially if you don't have a renewed mind or a transformed mind. And how we see things, our perception and our perspective is based upon our experiences. Just because you see it that way, it may be an optical illusion. Like he was an optical illusion. Like she was an optical illusion. What is an optical illusion? An optical illusion is it's something that you see, but it ain't what it is. Oh, that was good. It's something you see, but it ain't what it is. It's not what it looks like. Like that song says, it's not what you're doing when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you look like you're doing when you're doing what you're doing. An optical illusion. So that's why we can't lean to our own understanding, because our understanding sometimes can be tied to our feelings. And we already know that our feelings are not the facts. So imagine if you're leaning to your own understanding and your understanding is attached to your feelings, and you make a decision, a permanent decision based upon temporary feelings. How many times have I done that? Because of what I felt. How they made me feel. And we make permanent decisions based upon temporary feelings, even when we know that our feelings are not the facts. That's why I said you got to trust in the Lord, because you can't trust in your emotions. That's why it's called emotions. They're up and down. Think about how many emotions and feelings you go through within an hour. I do an exercise like that where, I'm supposed to write down how I'm feeling every 5 minutes. And I did it one time and I had a range. So imagine if you are making decisions based upon how you feel. When we know that feelings are emotions and we know that our feelings aren't the facts, why make a permanent decision? Temporary feelings. We've all done it. I've done it. That's why we need each other. And it says, in all thy ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Well, I did enough today. I did enough talking this morning. I didn't even have my coffee yet, but I felt like the old deacons used to say, I felt an unction. I just needed to get it out, because that one phrase just kept sticking out. My pet peeves. I started to think about my pet peeves and what really gets under my skin. And what gets under my skin is when people have a misunderstanding of who I am. But I also have to surrender to the fact that people are going to believe what they believe. People are going to say what they're going to say, and there's nothing I can do to change that. And for me to spend my life trying to convince people would be a waste of my life and a waste of time. Many times people have already judged you and made decisions about who you are, what you are, and many other things without knowing you. We can't change that, right? If not, it's just something out of our control. And what I realize is that no matter, because I've been guilty of this, I'm going to close with this, because it's something I still have to work on, because I love hard, and I can know somebody did wrong to me, and I can look them in the face. They can't look me in mine, but I still love them. People say, how can you do that? because God did it for me. God does it for me. That's my measuring stick. Holding grudges and resentments, that gets us nowhere. Seeing somebody else miserable is gonna make your misery go away. It really isn't, because you were miserable before they made you miserable. You're miserable. Fix that. Fix that. So I don't hold any grudges or anything. And I know there are people who have said things and done things, like, whether I know intuitively or I know in my spirit, by the spirit of discernment, or I know personally, firsthand, or watched it, looked at it, walked in on it, but I still loved. The only person I believe that can really get to that place, this type of agape love and this real love, where no matter what wrong has been done, love covers all. Love covers all. And if you're not in that place, my prayer is that you heal. My prayer is that you get better. My prayer is that the same grace that you're expecting of yourself is the same grace, forgiveness that you're willing to give to someone else. It's much harder to hate than it is to love. Let me say that again. It's much harder to hate. It's much easier to love. You ever heard that song, Love Lifted Me? When nothing else could do. Love lifted me. Y'all have a great weekend.